Hey guys, so, do you like my shirt? It's so cool, look at the back of it. It was from when I went to go see Normandy, and this is the first time I've worn it. Today, well, first of all, I am incredibly nervous, not for this video, but I had a career conversation this week, and the amount of responsibility I'm going to have to take on is making me brick it, because when did I become a full-fledged adult? To me, I'm still the emo 17-year-old that just started working there, and now I'm like, when did this happen? I've got a lot of nerves. So just in case you're like, why is she in such a weird mood? That's why. Anyway, today we're going back to Reddit because for some reason you guys enjoyed my last video, so thank you so much for all the support on that. I really appreciate it. It feels like a Bridezilla day today. Meet Karen the Bridezilla. Oh, okay, that's a good one to start. I'm guessing this is like a Facebook post. Help! I need advice. My fiance and I are having lots of issues right now. We can't stop fighting, and I don't know what to do. I quit my job because wedding planning was taking up so much time, and my fiance is refusing to get a second job. Well, maybe your whole life shouldn't be planning a wedding. Just maybe. It's not his responsibility to pay for 2 jobs if you had one. Why did you quit your job? He doesn't understand that I don't have time to get ready for work, drive to work, be somewhere else all day, and drive home. I need to be home to plan this wedding. It's one day. It's one day. It doesn't need to be this stressful. I'm sure it is stressful, but it doesn't need to be this. You don't need to quit your job. I'm trying to find a job from home, but it is difficult. I asked him to get a second job and he won't. Yeah, no shit. Like, where is he meant to find more time? I imagine he's got a full-time job. It pisses me off because we are spending $80,000 on this wedding. There is your first problem. I've never said this on my channel, but I understand why people want to get married, but a wedding does not need to be $80,000. It doesn't even need to be $40,000. 20 should be a max. I mean, to be fair, I've never paid for one, so maybe it is more expensive. But if you can't afford it, don't have that many guests. Don't do that big a thing. Just have like a nice small gathering with your nearest and dearest, and then if need be, you know, get a hall where you can like dance with the rest of everyone else you wanted to invite. But it doesn't need to be like this huge thing. That sort of money should go on a house that you build the rest of your life with. And this is from someone who I used to have to help cater for weddings. Like, I used to waitress, I used to do the bar for weddings. Free bars for weddings were the worst thing I've ever done in my whole life. I hated it. And I hated every single person that came up, especially the drunks. And I know they were probably just having a really good time, but oh my god, did we hate you. And he keeps saying that we should spend less. Yeah, she's a red flag if she thinks that not only spending $80,000 is necessary, but the fact that he says, well, maybe we should spend less, and she thinks that's a bad thing. Like, red fucking flags. Jesus. How are these crazies married? And I'm single. Hello? No, this is my wedding. No, it's both of your weddings. Both. A wedding is meant to be to like celebrate the love between both of you and the companionship of both of you and the partnership of both of you. Otherwise, it's just like a birthday. No. Well, there are Grimzillas too. Maybe we should do that in another post. This is my wedding I have been dreaming of since I was little, and I refuse to have anything but my dream wedding. Well, if you can't afford it, then you can't have it. Also, don't go into debt for a wedding. It's one day. How can I convince him to work a second job to pay for this? What happened to happy wife, happy life? Divorce. In this case, it's no wife, happier life. Yeah, no wife, live your best life. You've planned for this your whole life. Well, why did you have to quit your job to plan for it? Also, why didn't you plan to spend the money for it? People are so stupid, and if he continues with this marriage, he deserves her. He should be like, yeah, I'm just going to go out for cigarettes, is never seen or heard from again. Happy wife, happy life is so stupid. I always thought it should be happy spouse, happy house. It's a partnership, right? These things go both ways. Yes, agreed. Yes, this is the way we strive to make sure the other is happy. We're each other's biggest fans. Yes. He can save $80,000 by ending the engagement. Next, Brad. I've been watching way too much Charlotte O'Brien. Bridezilla ruins her wedding, demands bridal party pay her cancelled wedding. The entitlement. Okay, starting the year strong, I swear. So my friend Dana, female 29, was supposed to be getting married this Sunday. The wedding got cancelled and things had gotten very crazy. Dana was getting married to Josh, male 32. She's still in college with me. Sorry, I was just trying to figure out why they're in college in their late 20s, but I guess it depends on the profession. Doctorates and stuff take like 5 to 8 years, don't they? And asked a few friends from college, myself included, to be her bridal party. Right. The thing you have to, maybe late 20s, you probably might have a proper full-time job. But majority of the time, if people are still in college, especially if they're in early 20s, they don't tend to have a lot of disposable income because they haven't gotten that far in their profession yet. So I'm just wondering how she thinks that these people are going to be able to afford her cancelled wedding. Not that that's their responsibility anyway. Like, that's not what your friends are for, love. Now, from the start, this wedding has been a disaster. I'm going to just... Jesus Christ, I can't... If it's already been a disaster from the start, I can't imagine. I'm going to just point out a few of the crazy stuff we dealt with. She refused to invite my best friend, who she's supposedly good friends with, because she thinks we're lesbian lovers. We're not. Why would that make a fucking difference? Strike one. Number 2, she had us go to the dress fitting and then demanded each of us pay $2,000 each for our dresses. Apparently she had a specific style she wanted. I can afford it, but I won't buy a $2,000 dress for one event. Some of the girls in the bridal party don't have the flexibility with money. See? I always find it weird, like, if you're having a wedding, and obviously you do have a vision of what you want for your wedding, I can get why the bride, or like the people having the wedding, would be expected to obviously to pay. But it is weird, right, that you get to keep the dress, but you literally get the dress for free. Not that it'd necessarily be your style and that's something you'd wear again, I'm not saying that. It is a weird tradition, just in general. But yeah, like, $2,000, are you fucking kidding? If you want that expensive a fucking dress, no, the bride has to pay it, or the groom, the parents, they have to pay for it. Number 3, apparently Josh couldn't invite any single females that were not blood relatives of him. So if he had any females, they were axed. Who's Josh? The groom? What? He's not allowed to invite any single females. The fact that she calls... I don't know if this is the person writing this, to be fair, or the bride, but if the brides are calling them females...
Females. Females? Do you have to call them females?
Then it just tells you everything you need to know anyway, but... Oh, it just screams of that they're not confident in their relationship. I've always thought that, like, if you are confident in, like, you and your partner's relationship, them talking to other people should not bother you whatsoever, because you shouldn't be worried about them cheating or anything like that. If they give you reason to, for sure. But I'm saying, like, if your partner's giving you no reason whatsoever to question them, they shouldn't be doing that behind your back, because you should trust them. Number 4, one of the girls in the bridal party doesn't drink because of her religion. Dana accused her of being pregnant in front of her parents and almost got her kicked out of her house.
Stop it. Get some help.
She was not pregnant and she was dropped from the bridal party. She was a class act though and never bad talked Dana. I fucking would. Just said she couldn't make it. We found out about it. Oh, she dropped. I thought like maybe Dana dropped her from the bridal party, but no, she just like left. Just said she couldn't make it. We found out about it pretty much on the day of the wedding. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Who the fuck does that? Like, that's unhinged. She tried to make us cancel our holidays with our families to instead go with her to a destination bachelorette. Why do brides think it's the most important thing of everybody's fucking life for them, the bride, getting married? Like, your friends are supportive, but only to a fucking point. Like, don't be a selfish cunt. I worked full time even during holidays, so I told her that was not happening. More of the bridesmaids said similar things, and she dropped it. That's just 5 things of the countless drama this wedding was having before the day. Now, the meat of the story. I was such a good point, we haven't even got there yet. Jesus. The day started horrible. Dana was having a meltdown because apparently the flower girl had to cancel because she has chickenpox. She was threatening to sue the mother unless she brought this sick 3-year-old to the wedding. That's contagious. What is wrong with Bridezillas? Seriously. Josh apparently was able to calm her down from this starter outburst and we began preparations. This was a massive red flag for this Josh guy. How the fuck is he still in that relationship? He must just be like, we're down this road now, there's nothing I can do. The whole day she had constant outbursts. She made people cry like wedding staff and bridesmaids. The maid of honor deserves a medal for the amount of diplomacy and bullshit control she had to do. I can only fucking imagine. I, for the most part, took the easy route and decided to work outside the bridal suite, like checking flowers, making sure food was okay, basically any excuse not to be around the bride. I don't blame you. Eventually, I had my makeup and hair done. Then the bride asked for a little bit of time alone to decompress from the stress. It's not moving house. It doesn't need to be that stressful. We didn't even fight it. You could not see a group of women run faster. Can you just imagine it? Wedding was starting in 30 minutes, so we figured she would be fine alone for that little. I spent those 30 minutes just sitting in the chapel with my phone. It had to be about 5 minutes before the start of the wedding when Maid of Honour came over to tell me the wedding was cancelled. I asked her what happened. Maid of Honour, Dana was having a quickie with Josh's uncle in the room.
What the fuck?
Josh caught them. Holy fuck! I did not see that coming. I don't even care if these stories are true. They are fucking entertaining. It's very sad if it is true, obviously, but like, the uncle? His uncle. I just stared at the Maid of Honour with my mouth pretty much about to reach the floor. Same! What the fuck? She told me to run and that she was trying to get as many people out before things exploded. So I quickly got my purse, gathered the 2 bridesmaids. It's just as well that the other bridesmaid didn't end up coming because she missed a lot of drama. Oh my god. Gathered the 2 bridesmaids that were carpooling with me. We left like the devil was after us. I checked with the other bridesmaid and all had escaped. That night I called the Maid of Honour to check what happened and the tea was bad. Apparently and rightfully, Josh should have called this wedding off fucking ages ago. Josh called off the wedding, called her a few names. I don't blame him. I'd have quite a few for her myself. Told off his uncle and was since left with his mates to, I hope, have the biggest single man party ever. God, I hope he meets someone actually worthwhile. I feel so bad for him. He's an absolute gem of a man. Why don't you? If he's an absolute gem of a man. She clearly didn't appreciate him. He apparently also told Dana and her parents that she will be paying the cancellation fees. Yeah, too right. According to Maid of Honour, Dana's father told her in front of everyone that she was paying it on her own by being a slut. I thought that was the end of it. I made the choice to separate myself from this mess until I got a call from Dana, not even an hour ago, demanding $5,000 to help pay for cancellation fees. No, bitch. This was your fault. You're going to pay that. No, that's not how it works. According to Dana, it was our duty. No, it really ain't. As the bridal party to pay her cancellation fees. I obviously told her no and that she might as well lose my number. Yeah. We love setting boundaries. I'm never speaking to this woman again. Exactly. Why don't you go after the ex-husband? Well, not even ex-husband. Ex-fiancé. This has been pretty much the reaction of all the bridesmaids and the Maid of Honour. By the way, Maid of Honour, Josh's older sister. Oh, that makes even more sense as to what she said. Small update. Oh god, yes please. I'm here for this. I'm so invested. Hey guys, I know a lot of people want to know what happened. After talking to Josh yesterday, he asked me to only say that he's okay, figuring things out and moving on. We're going to stay friends with him and his sister. Yay! Yeah, if he was a good one, like, I definitely think you should stay friends with him. Dana was told that no one in the group wants to interact with her, and since then, it's mostly radio silence. I can't share more about Josh's future plans, as he asked me not to. Understandable. He doesn't want Dana to know, I'm sure. He did have a good laugh at some of the comments I show him and appreciates the support. The one detail I did get corrected on, for those curious, was about his uncle. He's the younger brother of Josh's mother, and he's 55 years old. I thought he was married into the family, but I got that detail wrong. God, so it's actually like a blood relation as well. I also found out the most disgusting detail is the uncle knew Dana since she was a teenager. Ew! Why do these videos end up always being predatory? It's so fucking creepy. It's like, it follows me around. Dana and Josh are high school sweethearts, so yeah, I kind of feel gross knowing that. Yeah, me too. Other than that, I got a major haul of cake. Silver linings. So at least I got something good out of the mess. Hold up, back up, girl. This is a whole high tea serving right here. I have heard sex is good to unstress, but this is a whole other level. Also, props for Josh's sister. Woman is worth her weight in gold. Seriously. I mean, the sad part, she had her makeup and her hair done, and we left dressed, so yeah. She was wearing her wedding dress for this. I literally do not understand people who cheat so casually. Me either. She really thought it okay to cheat on her fiancé the day of the wedding, less than an hour before the ceremony, in her wedding dress. Like, what the fuck? I hope her dad calling her a slut cut deep enough to make her reevaluate the type of person she is, but I doubt it. To be that bold takes guts. I wouldn't want to have. In her wedding dress with his uncle, nothing like keeping it in the family. Belch. Ugh. No doubt when Maid of Honour found out, she had a moment of pure relief. yes, now this bitch will get away from my baby bro. Yeah, totally. When my ex broke up with me because I quote, I'm a bad and selfish person because I spend too much time hospitalised. I have a chronic illness. Instead of being with him, my mum came with champagne shouting at the top of her lungs, finally! I thought that's nothing compared with what Maid of Honor probably did for her baby bro. Like, how, do you know, that's one thing I was like, oh, let's have some drama on one of these wedding things. It never happened. It was always really boring. I have no wedding tea whatsoever that I can share from working weddings. But that was one of the things I was always hoping. I was like, needs to be one of the days that we have cancellation. Just one day I would love a cancellation, and it never happened. You're that far down the path, you may as well enjoy the festivities. I remember there was a woman who, I don't know how or why they broke up, I'm not sure if she said, like the Maid of Honor and bridesmaids or something came out and said, like the whole chapel or whatever it was, the whole room was already full. This was true, it genuinely happened, like it was on, I think it was on the news or something as well.
Thank you everyone for coming today and making your way to the wedding. We appreciate you all coming. Unfortunately the wedding's not going to go ahead today. But Kaylee does want you all to stay and join her partying tonight.
I do want to say a massive thank you to every single one of you here, because it means 110% more to me than anything. And I really appreciate you all being here, enjoying the day, because today is about self-love.
Which I thought was really nice. You know, it was one of those kind of, it was a really shit situation, but they tried to make it, you know, at least have some good from it, something good from that day. Reminds me of that. Well, that was a ride. You do right in telling her to leave you alone. Actions have consequences. Oh, it's been the longest 3 months of my life, not gonna lie, to be frank. Even if the wedding went through, I was planning to cut contact. She was a nightmare. Yeah, I don't understand why people think that just because they, oh, I'm the bride, you get to treat your fucking friends like they're servants or something. Not that you should treat anyone like that, obviously, but they treat them like this is the 1800s and you can treat servants like trash kind of thing. Like, you serve me, next bride. Yes. Okay, guys who married bridezillas, what happened after the wedding? I was called the Bridezilla after getting back with my ex-boyfriend I broke up with from high school. His parents got into his head that he should propose. His parents got married at the age of 19 and they thought that since we're 19, we should follow in their footsteps. Yeah, times change. No, you don't need to get married at 19. We were only back together for over 1 month at that point. Nothing against anyone that gets married young and married suddenly. I agree, but how many of those marriages end up in divorce? Probably quite high, I would imagine. People that get married at 19 and also people that get married only 1 month after being back together or even meeting in general. He proposed. I was excited because this is supposed to be an important moment in my life and I can plan the beautiful wedding I always dreamed of. I immediately start to look at venues since we had 10 months to plan. His mum complained to everyone behind my back that I was planning too soon. I thought she wanted her to get married. His family are strict Catholics, so when I said I didn't want to have a mass for our wedding, they made sure the priest talked to me to convince me to change my mind. When I planned to go wedding dress shopping, she complained again about how I was doing it too soon, 8 months out from the wedding. But don't they have to be ordered quite far in advance? It takes a while to find the one you actually like. You have to have it altered, ordered in, sort of thing, to have it altered. I mean, it's never too early, really. I don't know, I've never had a wedding, I never planned to have a wedding. And then she brought some of her kids without asking me. On top of that, I invited a mutual friend of ours, and I got a text from that friend on my way to the bridal shop asking if she could bring her kids because my fiance's mum told her to. Why? She's not a babysitter. His mum also got mad at me for not including all 7 of her daughters in the wedding party. How big do you think this wedding party is going to be? Unless it's like an Indian wedding, because those are massive, there's like 800 people. Whenever I tried to plan wedding stuff with my fiance, he couldn't handle it because planning the proposal took too much energy out of him. What? Again, never proposed to anyone, but does it really zap your energy that much? That lasted a few months. Sounds like a fucking excuse. Whenever his family tried controlling the wedding, I got bothered because they were planning around themselves. They said this isn't about me and my fiancé, it's about their family.
Don't give me that look.
No. What do you mean? It's not about the fiancé and the bride. What do you mean? Why do some people's families think that it's about them? Like, they're just very much like, they are the main character in their eyes, aren't they? Because their family is a big deal, and this wedding was about them. Overall, they called me a bridezilla to my face multiple times because I didn't like how they were controlling my wedding. Yeah, that's not a bridezilla thing, that's a boundary. That's just a boundary. And it's a healthy boundary. And also, if your fiance isn't sticking up for you to their family, they're never going to. Run. Within those few months, I remembered why I broke up with my fiance the first time, so I broke up with him again. F that. Yes, we love this for you. Yeah. Good for you. You are better for it. People are always pressured to be nice, and then we end up being steamrolled and questioning ourselves. Get the fuck out early and kick these people that know best out. Yes. Okay, we got a groomzilla. Short one, but we got a groomzilla. I married a groomzilla, bent over backwards. Wow, I can't read. Bent over backwards to make the wedding as magical as he wanted. I would have been happy in someone's backyard with a potluck. See, this is the thing, right, that I don't understand. If you want to get married, I can understand, you know, some people have like these huge dreams about the wedding. But to me, a wedding is just a day, like a celebration of your relationship. You are sharing that with your family and your friends. You know, it's bringing you two together as partners, basically just legally, in my eyes. But, you know, other people have, like, religious reasons and stuff like that, totally. It is just the one day. The marriage is the important part. It's the fact that you want to be with this person for the rest of your life. That's what getting married means. Even to someone who I never planned to get married. And yes, I know I wear a ring on my ring finger. That's because, to me, I've been putting myself before anybody else in any relationship for the last year. I'm the most important thing to me, and that's like my reminder to myself every single day. Not that I've found anybody, but that doesn't bother me anymore. For a long, long time, I felt like I had to be with someone to feel whole, and I'm whole. I'm enough. Point being, like, it's meant to be about the kinship between you. It's meant to be about the love and the partnership. Okay, back to the story. He admitted in couples counselling 7 years like counselling. I can't speak. 7 years later, that he never really wanted to marry me. So much as he wanted a huge show and party. This is why, if people are more interested in the wedding than the marriage, they don't really want to get married to you. I'm sure of it. Like 50% or something worth of marriages end in divorce. I would love to know the percentage of how many of those people are so excited about the wedding and then just like disappointed that, you know, there's marriage afterwards. Like, I've always said that if I was ever to get married, it would be with like the most minimal people ever, and I'm talking like maybe 5 to 10 people at a max, and that's big for what I've had in my mind for if I would ever get married. Because if I wanted to get married, I would want to go abroad and I would want to go to Iceland, and if I could time it properly, I'd love to get married under the Northern Lights. Well, I'm not even sure you're allowed to do that, but that's the only idea I have in my mind of if I was ever to get married. People who want big weddings to show off, they're not interested in marriage. They just want to show off. They're the same sort of people who buy big houses and big cars and try and show off and be like, yeah, look at me, when actually they're just putting themselves in debt, or they're just showing off because ego. Everyone liked and approved of me, so he wanted them all to see he was making a good choice and be envious. He wanted them to be proud of him. Yeah, so ego. We used up most of the money I got from a car accident settlement. Again, like, if you care about the relationship, then putting money towards the house and your life for future is more important than one day. The fact that he was using money from a car accident settlement for the wedding and not putting it towards, literally next thing, could have put that down payment in a small house. See, he asked for a divorce in 2020. Oh, you're better off without him, hon. You really are. My upvote is a downvote for him. You married a real asshole. What an awful thing to do. Seriously. It was awful, but he was not an asshole, just utterly unself-aware. I'm just glad we didn't have any kids despite trying, because that would have ripped out my soul. I'm recovering and rediscovering myself. I can move on. I wish him well. Oh, you're a better kind of person than I am. Yeah, same. I would not be wishing him well. Oh, yes. Oh, another. My first wife was a bridezilla. Yes, we love these. During the honeymoon, she realised she was married and the wedding day was history. She wanted the big wedding, which she had, not the marriage. See?
Am I a genius?
What am I telling you? The people who want big weddings and are only interested in the weddings and not the fucking marriage don't want to really be married. They just want the fucking party. They just want the attention on them. That is it. Oh my God. I'm a genius. The next 2 years were hell until she finally tapped out. I was young and stupid, and the thought of divorce never crossed my mind. How does divorce never cross these people's minds? I guess because they think they're in it for the long haul, because you don't really get married expecting divorce. I don't know why it didn't. I guess I just assumed I'd be miserable for the rest of your life. No, please, don't ever feel like you have to be miserable for the rest of your life. And this is someone who lives with depression. Don't ever think that. You don't have to be with someone that makes you miserable. You don't. Just leave. When she told me she was leaving, it felt like if the weight of the world was off my shoulders. You know it's bad. I've had that with people I've dated before, where it gave me pit of my stomach anxiety because they made me second guess myself constantly. The second I broke it off, I was like, oh my God, like the pit in my stomach was just gone. It always tells you everything you need to know when that happens. Just know if they ever come crawling back, don't ever put yourself through that again. On a happy note, her parents were still paying off the wedding when we divorced. That's what happens when you allow your daughter everything she wanted, including 2 wedding dresses. Why do you need 2? This isn't a fucking movie. You don't need to have 1 for the wedding and 1 for the reception. You just need 1. Raise your kids, then you spoil your grandkids. Spoil your kids, you will raise your grandkids. Yes, that should be on a pillow. I agree. I was thinking exactly the same. She sounds like a spoiled brat. Okay, next bride. Cheap Bridezilla, I regret agreeing to be in this wedding. Oh my God, okay. Here to share my story of a wedding I'm going to be in this fall. I am a bridesmaid for a close friend of mine. She is definitely a good person, but I am now seeing a different side of her. Why do weddings bring out the worst in people? They either bring people together or they push people apart. She definitely put pressure on her fiancé to propose. If you have to put pressure on someone to propose to you, you probably shouldn't be getting married to that person. When he was still getting his bachelor's, it got close to ultimatum level, but he did once he graduated. Honey, how did you not see the red flag? Bride is religious and is doing things somewhat traditional and is waiting to live together until they are married. Her parents are wealthy as well, which is also what is ticking me off for this wedding. Okay. There are certain rich people that never spend money and they expect everyone else to buy things for them. You know when celebrities go out for meals or get clothes or go shopping and stuff and they expect not to pay because it's like, oh, but it's good promotion for your brand or whatever, or you had a photograph of me in your restaurant so I don't need to pay. You're rich, you can fucking pay. If you got money, if you got 6 figures at least in your bank account, you can fucking pay your way, alright? Had I known I was expected to pay for this much, I would have declined being a bridesmaid. I should not be expected to pay anything but maybe the bridal shower. That's my understanding of weddings. I've never been a bridesmaid. I've been invited to maybe 3 weddings, but like, no. However, we also have to pay for catering for her bridal shower, as well as a gift. Well, it's the bridal shower where the bride goes out as like a bachelorette. No, it's the bachelorette party, right? I don't fucking know all the things. Bridal shower sounds like baby shower. So they're just showering her with gifts. For the wedding day itself, she dropped the bomb today that she wants a professional makeup artist and hairstylist to do our makeup the day of. $300 total. I'm at my limit for spending, and she said if I do my own makeup, I have to practice and send a picture for approval. Well, if you're that bothered about it, you pay for it. The hairstyle she wants us to all have will not work on my hair. It's too short. I sent her a pic of how my hair isn't long enough with my face framing and asked if I can do a low bun with pieces down in the front. She replied, I will see if anyone else is okay with that because it will throw off the uniform look. Okay. This is the other thing I have a problem with. Look, I know you've had this idea, this dream idea of your wedding day. Do you know what you don't remember if your wedding day truly is the happiest of your life? You don't give a fuck what other people look like. You don't give a shit about if this person has the right shoes or this person has the right dress or if their hair is up in a bun or down, like if it's short like mine or something. You don't care. What you care about is you and your partner having the best fucking time. People who are this pernickety about the smallest of details, who care about the aesthetics more than the actual wedding, about having the people that they are closest to and they love and cherish the most at what is for them one of the most important days of their life, getting married for all the wrong reasons. That's just my opinion. And we are not even wearing the same dress. Wait, she wants you to have a uniform look, but you're not wearing the same dress. Make it make sense. What else? No +1s and it's bring your own bottle. They're rich and it's bring your own bottle. Well, I guess if they're religious, maybe they don't want to have alcohol and they're saying bring your own bottle if you want to have alcohol. I guess it's like a way around that I could see, but it depends. Had I known she was going to be a mild bridezilla, Bar the paying for stuff, I've seen worse. I would have politely declined and happily attended as a guest. Edit. Thanks for all the support, everyone. Holy upvotes. I'm glad that other people see my thinking on this, and I am right to be frustrated. If I have to pay for the professional to do my own makeup, I'll be dropping out. I did forget to add the total I'll be spending on this wedding is $2,000 when it's all said and done. No, honey, it's not your wedding. No. Edit. She kicked me out of the bridal party. Oh, she did you a favour. Hope she get that money back. She called me and told me she valued our friendship and loved me, but was asking me to step out and come as a guest. Again, why are you getting married if you care this much? You should be caring about the people that are with you, not about the aesthetics. I asked her why, and she said she wasn't open to discussing it. No, bitch, no. You tell her. Until after the wedding. I told her if she was cutting me out because I got my own hotel room for the bachelorette and was supposed to stay in a room and share a bed with a stranger. I have a lot of sleeping issues and GI issues, which is why I wanted my own room. Honey, you're allowed your own fucking room. Especially if you want to pay for it, like, it's fine. You are within your right. You are an adult. She then said I looked sad at her bachelorette party, which at the end I was feeling emotional because there was a little girl there that reminded me of my ex's daughter, but I didn't cry or make a scene. I told her my cold was bothering me and held back from telling her as to not take away from her day. I guarantee if you had told her, she would have been so pissed at you. She said she couldn't have that on her wedding day. Then she threw it in my face that it would be too much for me as a bridesmaid because I have to have surgery on my ovarian cyst a few weeks before and it would be too much for me. Again, if you don't care about your friends, them having surgery a few weeks before, and you're too worried about your wedding day, you are not truly friends. No. That's not your friend. She said all this, but said she wasn't open to discussing it until after the wedding, but wanted me to be there as a guest. I would not be going as a guest. I told her congratulations, I won't be there, and hung up. Yeah, love this for you. Boundaries. Then I sent her a long text about how you don't exploit your friends for your wedding and that I'm still human and have feelings and needs and have boundaries. The hotel room, for example. I also said, good fucking riddance now that your true colours are out. Blocked. Yes! We love this for you. Back out if you paid for the dress. See if you can return it. Be honest and tell the bride. Keep in mind that they will probably want the bridal party to set up, serve and clean up. Just don't. You will hate yourself later. Yep, I'm expecting there to be more surprises the day of. There absolutely always is. Oh my god. The amount of booze required to make this bearable isn't possible to bring on your own. You'd need a very large dump truck or possibly even a semi. I'd back out on the wedding and likely the friendship. Yeah, I'm really glad you did. She sounds awful. And that's why they stay wealthy. Yeah, many people who grew up wealthy do not realise that not everyone can afford everything. Yeah, very true. What the fuck is that? I got an achievement on Reddit. I didn't even know it was a thing. Oh, yes. Bridezilla. The Karen of all the Bridezillas. Yes, we're going to finish with this one. I'm a church organist. Okay, I did not see this coming. In a large metropolitan area. Pre-COVID, I would play for approximately 50 weddings a year, with my career total being 488 weddings. It's safe to say that I've seen my share of difficult brides, along with crazy mothers of the brides, and a few downright train wrecks. Jesus Christ. If you've seen plenty of those, imagine what the Karen of all brides is. That's chef's kiss. I love the start of this already. But nothing, and I mean nothing, could prepare me for this one. The wedding was at the church where I am employed as the full-time organist. The senior pastor was out of town for a family reunion that weekend, planned several years ago, and arranged for the pastor friend of his from another church in the area to be officiant. That said, the bride's family are members of the church, and my understanding is that the mother of the bride couldn't believe that the pastor would not cancel his plans to officiate at their wedding.
Bombastic side eye. Criminal offensive side eye.
Honey, it's not all about you. People have lives, but eventually let it go and moved on to bigger things. As the organist, never goes to the wedding rehearsal. However, church wedding coordinator had let me know that the bride was insisting that I be there. The coordinator let her know that there would be additional fee for me to attend the rehearsal and that I would only be there from 5 to 6 p.m. as I had another obligation that evening. The bride said that would be fine, accepted the additional fee for my services at her rehearsal. Well, I have a feeling she's not going to pay. Rehearsal day rolls around. I arrived at the church at 4:45, so 15 minutes early. There were 3 cars in the parking lot, mine, the church wedding coordinator, and one that I did not recognise. Okay, so probably theirs. I walked through the sanctuary doors and I noticed there was a woman at the altar putting flowers and candles out. She was wearing a skin-tight strapless dress, high heels, hair all blown out, and makeup so thick it probably would have taken a paint scraper to peel it off. Sorry, but just image that creates. And a surgical bandage would have had more fabric than her dress. I was wondering where he was going with that. I thought for a second he was saying like she had a bandage on her somewhere. As I walked to the organ, I stopped and said, "Hi, you must be the bride. I'm blank and I'm the organist." She stopped what she was doing, looked at me and said, and I quote, "Are you fucking kidding me? I'm the mother of the bride." Okay. Excuse me. "And I go to church here. I know who you are." I was so taken by surprise at her Christian greeting that I simply replied with, "Oh, I apologise." She sighed in disgust and told me she didn't have time for small talk, so I went to the organ to wait for rehearsal to begin. I'm sorry, if he's the organist, does he probably not have his back to the congregation? How would he know that you went to that church regularly? Anyway, the coordinator came in a minute or two later and we had our typical small talk, and I shared with her about my interaction with the mother of the bride. She rolled her eyes and said, "Just wait, I have a feeling this is going to get good." She's a peach. 5 p.m. comes and the only other people who were on time were the pastor, the parents of the bride and the groom. I cannot stand people who are late. If you're late because like a train's late or something like that, I get it. But like people who are consistently late do not respect your time. I have no fucking time for them. Even with work calls and stuff, if someone's not on a phone call within the first 5 to 10 minutes of the fucking phone call, I'm dropping. And I'm giving no reason why I'm dropping. If you don't respect my time, I don't fucking respect yours. If you haven't told me, I'm really sorry, previous call's running over, I'll be there as soon as I can. That's fine. That's understandable. But the fact that you say fucking nothing, you do not respect my time whatsoever, and therefore I'm not waiting. Anyway, it just triggers me. The people who were there was the pastor, the parents of the bride, the groom, the parents of the bride and groom, excuse me, the grandparents, the groom, and his groomsmen. So the bride and her bridesmaids weren't there. So 5:15, and we are still waiting. The mother of the bride kept telling everyone to be patient and that she was on the way. The coordinator reminded her that I would be leaving at 6 p.m, as with the pastor, as he was contracted for an hour rehearsal. The mother insisted that the hour started from when the rehearsal began. No, that's not how appointments work, hon. At which time the coordinator whipped out the contract and advised her to read it over again. Yes! This is what happens when you don't tell people no. When you just allow people to get away with stuff and not have any consequences to their actions. Yes, we love this. We love a coordinator that stands up for herself. She backed out and called her daughter, told her to speed up. A few minutes later, the bride and her bridal party arrived. Well, they couldn't have been that fucking far away. They just were taking their dear time. What were they doing? The bride and her mother could have been identical twins. Also, arriving with her was her wedding coordinator, who immediately started taking over. Now, let me stop and say that's a big no-no at the church. The requirement is that the church wedding coordinator deals with all the details relating to the service being held at the church. The contract states that they are welcome to use a wedding coordinator of their choosing to coordinate all other aspects of the wedding outside of the church ceremony. But the church has a full-time wedding coordinator who will take care of all of those details. The bride and her mother had met the church wedding coordinator on multiple occasions, so they were aware of this policy. The church wedding coordinator immediately stepped in and explained to the other coordinator that she would be assuming all responsibilities relating to the coordination of the wedding at the church. There was a little back and forth between them. That's not good. But the other coordinator eventually backed down and said she would be glad to help in any way she could. At this point, it was 5:40. Jesus Christ. And we are just finally getting the rehearsal started. Coordinator got everyone lined up and in their places, and it was time to begin practicing the processional. An usher begins to bring the grandmother of the groom down the aisle, who is in a wheelchair. The bride immediately stops the seating and says that the grandmother will not be seated during the processional because she refused to have her roll down the aisle in a wheelchair. What? She needed to walk down the aisle, walk down on the usher's arms, or she needed to be seated before the ceremony began. Honey, divorce. The groom did speak up and tell his fiancée that was not right, and he wanted his grandmother seated during the seating of the family. That's too right. I'm glad someone's putting this woman in her place. The groom's mother also spoke up and said the mother would be seated just like the bride's grandmother would be seated, and then the mother of the bride got involved. And let's just say there was a little argument taking place between the two mothers, the bride and the groom. Oh, God. The pastor finally got involved and said, let's discuss this following the rehearsal, and we moved on. It came time for the wedding party to process in, and the 12 bridesmaids and 12... That's a lot of bridesmaids. 12 bridesmaids and 12 groomsmen. The 4 flower girls and 2 ring bearers, this is a big wedding, were in place without incident. I start the music for the bride and her father to enter. No enter. Now, I will say that the aisle in the church is very, very long, but at the same time, I could not figure out why it was taking the bride so long to make it to the front. As I look out, I notice that it is because she is taking selfies of herself the entire walk down the aisle. She couldn't have had one of her bridesmaids take photos if she was that bothered. Someone is a complete narcissist. She and Daddy would take a few steps, stop, and she would snap a picture. Oh my god. This went on and on and on. She really doesn't respect anyone's time. She finally made it to the front, only to say that she wanted to practice the entire processional again. No. People, we've got other things to do. We gotta wrap this up. The pastor said no. She could practice it at the end of the rehearsal if needed, but we needed to move on. The bride raised a major hissy fit, as did her mother. Stop raising these people to be ungrateful and entitled narcissists. For fuck's sake. So we did the whole thing a second time, minus the grandmother in the wheelchair. The second time took longer than the first. The same story, the bride took selfies all the way down. Why does she need more selfies? She already had all of them. At this point, it is 5 minutes after 6, 5 minutes longer than I was supposed to be there. I turned the organ off, closed the lid, locked the organ, and got out to leave. The church wedding coordinator waved goodbye, and I told her I would see her tomorrow. The mother of the bride jumps out of her chair and comes charging at me and grabs my arm and asks me where I'm going. I told her that my contract ended at 6 p.m. and I was going to another obligation that evening. Proceeds to tell me what an unprofessional person I am for leaving the rehearsal when it's not finished. No, you guys were unprofessional by not fucking being there on time. This is your own fucking fault. This is why brats raising other brats. And she would make sure that everyone at the church knew how I disrespected her daughter and her family at this special event. Honey, he can talk too, you know. And she proceeded to tell me that she would make sure the Star Parish Relations Committee were aware of my rudeness and to not be surprised if I did not have a job come next week. I looked at her, smiled, and did my nicest voice and said, "That's a risk I'm willing to take. I will see you tomorrow." Through all of this craziness, I forgot that there was a soloist who I was supposed to meet with at the rehearsal, yet in the hour I was there, they never showed up. I imagine they also probably had enough of their shit. The church wedding coordinator phoned me around 8 p.m. and simply said that I had left way too early because things got good. I wonder where that was going. And heated after I had left, and that she would fill me in the next day. She also said the soloist arrived an hour and a half late. They agreed to arrive an hour before the service the next day so we could run through the music. And then she told me who the soloist was. The soloist had been a contestant. Oh god, people really think that 5 minutes of fame is enough to just turn up whenever the fuck they want. The soloist had been a contestant on one of the hit TV music competition shows and had won the competition last season. Okay, the bride and the soloist had gone to high school together. I thanked the coordinator for calling me, and that was that. Fast forward to the next day. Oh my god, we are not even close to being done. I'm gonna have to try and skip through this. Fast forward to the next day, wedding day. I arrived an hour. I'm so here for this. I arrived an hour before the ceremony began, per usual, and the soloist was there along with their agent. Oh my god. I introduced myself to the soloist, and they were actually very friendly and down to earth. But why were they not on time before? We ran through their solos one time, and everything came together beautifully. The soloist sits down next to me at the organ. We had a nice conversation before it was time to start the prelude music. We talked a little about their appearance on the television and how their life had changed since winning the competition. Just very nice small talk. I asked how they knew the bride, and they told me they went to high school together. And then they said, "I can't believe she asked me to sing at her wedding because she was the biggest bitch she met throughout elementary school, middle school, and high school. Plus, they were next door neighbours for 10 years. She only invited her then because she's famous in her eyes." The bride and her mother had apparently bullied the soloist and their family the entire time they were neighbours. I asked the soloist why they agreed to sing at the wedding after all the drama that had gone down between the two of them, and their response was simply, "I'm getting paid, I can play nice with her for the right amount of money." Fair enough. We had a good chuckle, so me being nosy, I asked what it would cost someone to hire them to sing at their wedding. Their agent told me that the bride's mother paid the soloist and agent to fly halfway across the United States from Los Angeles, 2 nights of hotel accommodations at a downtown 5-star hotel, transportation while in town, and meals, plus the cost of their performance at the wedding. While she did not give me a grand total, the wedding performance alone for 2 songs was $2,500. Get your bag. Especially from a bitch like that, I would love to do that. The soloist told me the bride had been able to track them down through some mutual high school acquaintances, and that when they finally connected, you would have thought they had been best friends their entire life. They always do when they want something. The pastor stopped by the organ before the ceremony began to thank me for my professionalism the night before, and also told me that he had never experienced anything quite like this wedding in his life. He said he was never more nervous to conduct his ceremony than he was that day. It's wedding time! The ceremony begins on time. Grandmother actually came down the aisle in her wheelchair. The bride made her entrance with no selfies taken on her way down the aisle. Yeah, because other people should be taking those photos. Her father handed her off to her future husband, and they move into the altar area for the ceremony. As the service moved forward, the soloist leaned over to me and said, "Is it me, or is her cell phone sticking out of the top of her dress?" Why, yes it was. No! She had packed her cell phone into her bra. Here is this bride dolled up to the hills, looking as if it's taken days to get her hair and her makeup done just right, a gorgeous and obviously very expensive dress, and her cell phone stuck between her two boobs. I couldn't help but laugh because the photographer has taken pictures this entire time. And I'm not sure that the bride realised you could see her phone, but I'm sure why does this sound like Tana Mojo?
Should you go get married now? Because we gotta walk down the aisle like an hour ago.
But I'm sure they made for some beautiful wedding portraits. The soloist sang before the exchanging of vows, and the bride stood there, tearing up, dabbing her eyes with a handkerchief. Oh, drama. Making sure that everyone saw her emotional moment. Yeah, that was so for the crowd. At the end of the solo, she blew a kiss to the soloist. The second solo was right after the exchanging of the rings, and I'll be damned if she didn't pull her cell phone out of her bra and stand there and video the performance. There were a few fake tears and another kiss blown at the conclusion of the song, the cell phone going right back into her dress. The ceremony concluded, the bride and groom start to walk out, and it was a repeat of the night before. She whipped that cell phone out and started taking selfies all the way down the aisle. It was ridiculous. The bridal party exited, and then it was time for the parents of the bride and groom to leave. The groom's parents exited without incident. The bride's parents start walking down the aisle. Mother starts taking selfies just like her daughter. Well, a narcissist breeds narcissists. A few steps down, she would take a picture, a few steps, take another picture. After about 3 starts and stops, her husband just kept going down the aisle without her. Yeah, I would get sick of that too. She was anything but happy about it. She charges after him in the aisle to catch up, only to have the heel of her shoe snap, and she about took a nosedive straight into the floor. She caught herself and managed to get out of the sanctuary without a broken nose. After the guests had left, the bridal party returned of the sanctuary for some photos. I am packing up my things to leave, and the soloist agent approached the bride and told her she needed to delete the video on her phone of the soloist performance, or she risked legal action because the contract she signed clearly stated there would be no video taken of this performance. The bride immediately turned into Bridezilla and began to argue with the agent, telling her to butt out and that the wedding was over and there was nothing she could do about it. That's not how that works. While I was ready to leave and go home, I started to pack my things even slower. Yeah, we all love the drama, because I didn't want to miss anything. The argument went on for a good 5 minutes, but finally the bride gave in, pulled out her cell phone and deleted the video. The agent then told her to make sure she deleted the video out of her delete folder, and she was not leaving until she saw her do it. The bride gave in and showed her phone to the agent, and I guess all was good from there. The soloist and I walked out together. As we were walking out, I waved goodbye to the bride as she actually had the nerve to flip both of us off. At that point, the visiting pastor said, "I'm done." He looked at the groom and said, "Please know that I am praying for you." And he walked out. Yeah, I feel bad for that groom. I went home with a good story to tell, but it doesn't end there. The next week at our staff meeting, we were telling the pastor all about the nightmare wedding. He had already heard about it. Oh god, yeah, he missed all of it, didn't he? He had already heard about it from his pastor friend, but said he really thought we were all pulling a big joke on him. That was until a few days later when the mother of the bride came in demanding that the church refund all of the ceremony fees, sanctuary, rental, housekeeping, security, organist, coordinator, and pastor fees, because we had been unprofessional arseholes throughout the entire weekend of the wedding. The pastor told her that would not be happening, and that for her understanding, the arseholes were her and her daughter. She left after telling him that he would be hearing from her attorney. To say what exactly? Fast forward 6 months. The pastor called me and the wedding coordinator into his office one afternoon. He shared that the bride's father had come in that morning wanting to apologise for the entire shit show of a wedding, how embarrassed he was and how everything played out. He told the pastor that he wanted to stand up and shut the whole thing down after the first meltdown in the rehearsal, but he knew that there would be hell to pay if he didn't play along. He then proceeded to share that the bride and groom had already separated. Well, no surprise there! The groom, who is apparently a very nice young man, woke up and realised that he had made a huge mistake. He had married a Karen. He said that his daughter returned home one day to find that he had packed his bags and left. Yeah, So would I. How had it got that far? He then told the pastor that he had filed for divorce from his wife. He told the pastor not to worry about hearing from her attorney for a refund of the wedding fees, because not a day goes by that she doesn't threaten someone with the wrath of her attorney who does not exist. They never do. He said that if we did hear from an attorney to let him know, and he would gladly speak up on behalf of the church and refusing to refund the money. He said we deserved 10 times the amount for what we were forced to deal with. A year later, we had not heard from a lawyer and not another word from the mother or the bride. The bride's father, however, is in the church almost every Sunday. He is a nice and normal man, as you would ever want to meet. Since divorcing his wife, he has not been in contact with his daughter. He has started to date a lovely woman that he met at the church. Since he has left his wife, he looks about 10 years younger and appears to be living his best life. Perhaps in the near future, I will have the opportunity to play for his wedding. I can't help but wonder if his ex-wife might get wind of a wedding and show up to create a scene. Stay tuned. If that day ever happens, I will be sure to return for a follow-up. Well, that was a fucking story and a half, wasn't it? Oh my god. At that point, the visiting pastor said, I'm done. Best moment of the whole post. Oh, to be a fly on the wall. The pastor must have prayed for the groom to wake up. He probably really did. What did the wedding coordinator tell you happened at the rehearsal after that? Oh, very good point. The wedding hostess said that it was an all-out shouting match between the mother of the bride, the mother of the groom, and the bride. It all centered around Grandma coming down the aisle in her wheelchair. After 10 minutes or so, the groom's dad and bride's dad got involved and shut the entire thing down. That's when Grandma spoke up, yes, and told the bride and groom that she was gifting them a down payment on a house. Oh, for fuck's sake, as their wedding present. But no wheelchair, no house. I guess the tone of the bride quickly changed. I forgot that there was a rehearsal dinner being held at the church immediately following the rehearsal. I guess most do if the groom's family were so disgusted by what they had just witnessed that they skipped out and went home. I wish I stuck around a little longer. I would have run down to the kitchen and made popcorn and come to the Actor Sanctuary for the show. Oh god. One wedding causing 2 divorces is wild. That's a 1-to-2 KD ratio. Jesus Christ, you're so right. You can't drop a wedding story about a bride that sues you without actually making a post. You probably have enough stories out of 488 weddings to create your own subreddit. I can only imagine the amount of ones he's seen. Oh, that was a wild ride. And I loved every moment. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give this a like and subscribe if you like it. I really appreciate it. If you guys continue to enjoy these sort of reading Reddit posts and reacting to them, I'll make sure to try and post one every couple of weeks. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Bye!